Hello, my name is Megan, and this is going to be a very gentle movement practice. There will be some elements of flow in it, some weight bearing in the hands, so just know that you can always adjust and modify in the ways that you're used to or in the ways that you'd like to. But really the focus is going to be on the hips and shoulders, and especially the hips, with the intention of always clearing the channel. And this is just a broad way of saying that we're trying to get energy to flow through and to move out of the places where it tends to pool and get stuck. Tonight is a new moon at the end of 2024. You can, of course, practice this practice at any time of the day or night, any time of the year. But we're starting to move out of the intensity of summer and into the slowness of fall and preparation for the winter. And so I hope that this honors that flow. We'll go ahead and get started facing the front of your space. I have a mat, but you don't need one. And I'm using a blanket and a block. You can use pillows, folded up blankets off of your bed. You can also use nothing. They're not necessary. They just might be nice support for later down the line. This is going to be about a 30-minute practice. And so like I mentioned, start in a seat facing the front of the space. Soft gaze or eyes closed, any kind of seat that works for you. I'm sitting on my heels, but you don't need to do that. You just want to think long spine, so the rib cage can start to levitate off of your hips. And for these first few moments, allow your breath to be whatever it is. And just notice. And slowly, at a pace, in a rhythm that feels good and natural for you, come into long, slow, deep breathing. This is the idea of making both the inhale and the exhale longer, so it moves in and out more slowly. And this gives it the time and space to go deeper into the lower lobes of the lungs. And if there are any persistent thoughts or agitations in body or mind, take note. There's really nothing more to do. One more big breath in through the nose and out through the mouth. And make your way into tabletop. All fours, hands and knees. Hands under shoulders, knees under hips. Begin to move the spine. Inhale, lower the belly, lift the heart forward and up. Exhale, chin to chest, round your spine, puff out the back of the heart. Do this a few more times. Exaggerating the movement to find the opening, the stretching that feels nice for you. And then the next breath or two, return to that more neutral spine, long, parallel with the floor. Extend your right leg out to the right. Toes can point out to the right or forward. Heel can be grounded or lifted. Toes can be grounded or lifted. Whatever works for the hip socket. And again, 3 rounds of cow and cat. Move with your breath. After that third round, lean your hips back towards that left heel. The toes will likely lift off the floor, but maybe not. Long spine out of the hips, inhale. And exhale, return to tabletop. To switch sides, left leg out to the side, toes point where they need to point, and 3 rounds of cow and cat. And sometimes it can feel a little undesirable, and after that third round, lean the hips back towards that right heel just to open up the inner line of the left leg. It can feel a little uncomfortable, a little undesirable to move your body with your breath. Sometimes we don't want to go that slow. So just notice. Inhale, long spine, like you're stretching up out of the hips, growing an inch taller. And exhale, return to tabletop. To then transition to downward facing dog. So hands a little further forward, maybe a little wider. Hips up and back. Heels will likely be lifted. They don't need to touch the floor, but they might. And soften your heart towards your big toes. Reach the sit bones high as you settle into stillness. 5 breaths here. The shoulders will start to open. As will the backs of the legs. And last breath. Inhale, move the heart forward towards the hands, and as you exhale, walk the feet forward to forward fold. Once more, 5 breaths, crown of the head releases towards the floor. And with every breath out, imagine a thought or multiple thoughts spilling out of your head. Press down into the feet. One last breath here. Inhale, lift halfway. Press your hands at least into the shins, maybe the thighs. Even if you're used to hands on the floor, this pressing into the front of the legs will help make even more space in the low belly, the low back. Stay here, engage your glutes, and with a flat back, inhale, rise up to standing. Exhale, soften your arms down by your sides. Inhale, arms up high, palms press overhead. Exhale, cactus the arms or goalpost. Feel the shoulder blades move towards the spine. Lift the heart up. Stay here for 3 breaths. What are you clearing? What are you allowing to leave into the darkness of the night? Inhale, arms up high, palms together again. Exhale, arms wide and down, fingers interlace at the tailbone. Inhale, 1 breath, little back bend, knuckles reach for the heels. Exhale, bend the knees, fold forward, hands stay interlaced. And maybe they reach up and overhead towards the floor in front of you. One more breath in. One more breath out. Thumbs to tailbone. Bend the elbows to bring fingertips to the floor. Inhale, long spine, halfway lift, hands on the front of the legs. Exhale, hands to the floor. Step the left foot to the back of the mat. Lower the left knee down. Top of the left foot on the floor. Keep the left hand on the floor, or you can bring it onto a block. And inhale, rotate your heart towards the right. Exhale, right hand on top of the thigh. Look over the right shoulder for 5 breaths. So with that grounded left hand, you can sink the hips forward a little bit. I always like to crack my back. And on your next exhale, fingertips back to the floor. Lean the hips back. Just a quick half splits. Hips can go as far back as you like. I know some people get really specific about where it goes and what the shape then becomes named. It's okay. Inhale, long spine, long back of leg, even if the knee is bent. Exhale, come forward, curl the left toes under, return to forward fold at the top of the mat. Inhale, lift halfway. Exhale, fold. Step the right foot back, right knee down, top of right foot down. Right hand stays rooted. Inhale, rotate to the left. Exhale, left hand on top of the thigh. Look over the left shoulder. 5 breaths. And think about the long lines of energy you're creating. Those roots, pathways, channels for free movement. And on your next exhale, left fingertips to the floor. Guide the hips back for your half splits on this side. Inhale, long spine, long leg. Exhale, walk to the front of the mat to return to forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Think of this as resetting the low back and the hips. Exhale, hands down, step, or feel free to hop back to plank pose. On or off the knees. Tabletop is always a great alternative. Inhale. Exhale, lower halfway or all the way down. Inhale, upward facing dog or cobra, broad collarbones. Exhale, downward facing dog. 3 breaths. Inhale, heart moves forward. Exhale, walk the feet forward, heels down to keep the backs of the legs open to forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift, stay in this shape. Strong core, strong glutes. And inhale, rise to standing. Exhale, arms down by your sides. Inhale, arms up, palms together. Exhale, steeple grip, side body stretch to your left. Oops, I said left, went right. It's all good. We'll do both sides. Inhale up. Exhale, opposite side. Inhale up, twice more on each side with your breath. Feet stay rooted equally left to right, but the hips might move towards the opposite side that the hands go down. They don't have to. Inhale back to center. Exhale, cactus the arms, lift the front of the heart. 3 breaths. Stay in this little back bend. Inhale, arms up overhead, maybe slightly back behind you. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, hands down. Step back to plank. Breathe in. And this time, exhale, lower all the way down, whether or not you did on the last time. Slide your left knee out to the left, up in line with the hip. And then ankle will line up with the knee, toes point out to the left. You can relax that right leg. It's okay if the toes point slightly out. Engage your core just a little bit. Pull belly button away from the floor just a hair. And inhale, lift up to cobra. Only as much pressure in the hands as feels good. Stay lifted as you exhale and rock side to side. Or hang out in stillness. One more breath in. Exhale, roll down to your chin or your forehead. You're going to keep the legs as they are. We'll do this twice more. A little bit of core engagement as you're ready. Inhale, lift up. Head of the arm bones in the back plane of the body. Lots of work in the hands. Squeeze the forearms towards each other. Don't shy away from the muscular engagement. That increased blood flow is going to help open things up. One more inhale. Exhale, roll down. Last time. Inhale up. Movement or stillness, whatever feels right for you. And one more breath in. Exhale down. Slide your left leg back to meet the right. And then right knee out and up. Ankle in line with the knee. Right toes out to the right. Relax that left leg. A little bit of core. Inhale, lift up. 3 on this side. Stay up, rock. And just think about the places that are compressing, that are opening. Breathe in. And exhale, roll down. A little bit of core engagement. Inhale for number 2 of 3. Where is there ease? Where is there compression, constriction? And again, inhale. Exhale, roll down. One more to go. Pay attention to your left foot. Notice if that's kind of like tightening up or you're cinching the toes. It's totally okay. Maybe try not to. Last time, breathe in, lift up. Open heart. Easy breath. Sometimes this shape takes a little bit more work than we realize, a little bit more work than we want. Inhale and exhale, roll down. Slide right leg back to meet the left. Little hip wiggle. And then curl your toes under from knees or toes. Inhale, push up to plank or tabletop. Exhale, downward facing dog. 3 breaths. It's often in the slowness, in the stillness, in the quiet that we hear things that our body is trying to tell us. Inhale, heart moves forward. Exhale, feet move forward. Forward fold. Last time will be at the top of the mat. Inhale, lift halfway. Exhale, soften. Inhale, rise up to standing from forward fold, arms up overhead. Exhale, arms down by your sides. Inhale, arms back up. Exhale, bend your right elbow. Left hand on top of right elbow, tricep stretch. Guide the elbow in towards center line. Inhale here. And exhale, side body stretch to the left. Stay for 5 breaths. Head leans back into the forearm. Last breath in. Stay here out. And then inhale, return to center, both arms high. Exhale, bend the left elbow, right hand on top. Guide the elbow towards center line. Breathe in. Exhale, side body stretch to your right. 5 breaths. Focusing on the shoulders and the hips, the places where your center meets your periphery, as a way that we can energetically, metaphorically engage with the world more intentionally, more in alignment with our core, with our heart, with who we are. On your next inhale, rise up, both arms high. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, lift halfway. And as you exhale, keep the spine long. Bring the fingertips onto the floor. And then heel toe the feet out to the outer edges of your mat. And if you're not on a mat, you just want them to be a little wider than hips distance. Start to sway left and right as you bend the knees. And lower the hips just as much as it feels good to come into moving malasana. As you lean to one side, that heel may lift and the opposite toes may lift. It's okay if they don't. You can stay moving if that feels nice with your hands on the floor, or you can come to stillness with hands at the heart. One is not better than the other. You want to think open heart, collarbones moving laterally left and right. Spine moving vertically. Breath steady. 2 more breaths wherever you're at. Inhale. And exhale, fingertips on the floor. Keep your feet as they are and lift the hips high for a malasana, feet forward fold. Crown of the head towards the floor. Three more breaths. It might be harder, it might be easier for the legs to be straight or straighter. And just notice. After that 3rd breath, as you exhale, bend the knees. Step back to plank pose. Inhale. Exhale halfway or all the way down. Inhale, upward facing dog or cobra. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, right leg forward, pigeon pose setup. This is where props may come in handy. So you can have the front shin parallel to the front of the mat, thinking that 90-degree angle. Nothing wrong with that. That does require very narrow or very open hips. Doesn't always feel right for everyone. So you're not doing less of the stretch. If you have your shin at an angle with the top of the foot down more towards the front of the left hip, it's gonna be okay. There's no need to perform. But again, if it feels good, if you like it, if that's how you roll, shin parallel with the front of your space is okay. One is just not better than the other. I'm gonna stay up. I think that's what's feeling right in my body. But a sleeping pigeon with the forearms down or the chest all the way down, that might feel nice as well. I'm gonna be here for 10 breaths, starting now. If it feels really hard to get the hips down or like you can't soften your leg muscles at all or your inner thigh muscles, your pelvic floor muscles, that's when it's a good idea to bring blanket, bolster, pillow, block, anything underneath, particularly your right hip, your right sit bone. But you can bring it underneath your pelvic floor as well. Because you just want that hip to be rooted. And that's what's going to help you soften. We spend a lot of time gripped, active, ready to go. The mind thinks like 3,000 thoughts a minute, which is insane. So maybe we need just a little less of that. On your next inhale, rise up into the hands if you're not there already. Curl your left toes under and then inch the left knee forward. So now the hips will lift off the floor. You're coming out of the stretch. Strong core. Return to downward facing dog. Inhale, left leg forward for pigeon setup. Take your time to figure out where you're going. Ideally, we do the same-ish thing side to side, but sometimes we need very different things side to side. Props or no props, make the decisions that work for you. Props are not training wheels. These shapes are not cookie cutters. These shapes are suggestions of energetic feelings and states. And so we make them work for us. 10 breaths. This movement is meant to be intentional. It's meant to imprint what you want to embody even beyond this time in the practice. And so oftentimes I think it's easy to focus on advancement of the pose. I'm not saying we should never progress, we should never try new things. It's nothing like that. But if all you're doing is competing and comparing and pushing, those are the only things where anyone is perpetuating. And not just in their practice, but in their life. It's said all the time, but I think it's really hard to focus on what it means. Or maybe it's said too much that it gets cheap. But how we move on the mat is how we move through the world. On your next inhale, return to the hands. Curl your right toes under, inch forward. And then core engagement, it's kind of like someone's punching you in the gut, but no one is. And return to downward facing dog. Final time here. Reset, rebalancing of the hips. 5 breaths. And lower down to your knees. Now I will recommend a cross-legged seat, but you don't have to do that. To set up for a little bit of breath work and meditation. If you prefer to do this lying down, you can. I think we miss out on a lot of the energetic benefits when we do lie down for this type of work, but it's up to you. So cross-legged seat, if that doesn't feel groovy, one or both legs straight, you want to feel as comfortable as you can in your seat. Tall spine, soft shoulders, soft gaze or eyes even closed. And hands on top of the thighs, palms face up or down. And for a few moments, reattune to that long, slow, deep breath. Notice if there's pressure between the eyebrows. Can you soften? Can you feel your eyes settle towards the back of the sockets? And think about the very base of your throat, the top of your chest. And imagine that your nostrils were right there. And so you're breathing in and out of the base of your throat. And the intention of this visualization is to open up, both physically and energetically, your throat, your neck. This might make you create a lot of saliva that you have to swallow. It's totally okay. And this breathing intention is going to be the point of focus for meditation. Lots of different styles of meditation, but right now we're using singular point of focus. Anytime the mind wanders away from breathing in and out of the base of your throat, you just guide it back to the task at hand. And I think a lot of the times we don't understand that that in itself is meditation. I'm going to be silent for a few moments. Know that I will call us out when it is time. We spend so much of our day in constriction, compression, gripping. And that can make these sensations of opening, softening, expanding feel really uncomfortable. It can make it feel unnatural. It can make it feel like it's impossible to sustain. And that is why we must practice. I encourage you to stay here as long as you want. Whenever you want to wrap up, spend a few minutes lying down. If you can, it's worth it to give yourself that time for integration. And we all have lives, we have things to get back to, but move into those spaces as slowly, as softly, as thoughtfully as possible for you. And just thank you for being in this space and time with me. If you have any questions, you can let me know 100%. All right. Have a good night or have a good day. Have a good any point in time.